Yet Glastonbury is a festival of hypocrisy. At the moment, 200,000 woke lefties are holding hands in a field in Somerset, calling for open borders and an end to racism and net zero. What a bunch of hypocrites. They want an end to racism, unless it's anti-Semitism, apparently, because they champion Jeremy Corbyn, and a film defending him was screened at Glastonbury this weekend. They want net zero, but Glastonbury leaves behind a mountain of plastic bucket hats and disposable vapes. One moment, Greta Thunberg is exhorting us to travel by donkey. The next moment, Bruce Springsteen is being thanked by Paul McCartney for flying in first class from California. And there's a diesel generator on every corner powering the fairy lights. It's ridiculous, an absolute charade. But the biggest hypocrisy is that people at Glastonbury call for open borders while they're surrounded by the most secure border this side of Stalag Luft. They've got 2 metal perimeter fences 4 metres high, over 4 metres high, with a metal apron to stop anybody tunnelling and an overhang to stop anybody climbing over. And there's a Nazi watchtower there to make sure, I'm sure they're not actually armed with sniper rifles, but they can spot anybody trying to get in for free. All I'm saying is, why can't we have just a smidgen of that level of security on our country's borders? Why is it just music festivals that have to be protected? I think it's slightly more important to protect our country from any violent Islamists that want to waltz in and commit terror attacks than it is to stop people seeing Billie Eilish for free. So Glastonbury festival goers, you're a bunch of hypocrites.
Well. I mean, Leo, to be honest with you, Jacob Rees-Mogg's constituency of this parish, of course, is right next door to Glastonbury. And I'll tell you what, the amount of drugs being done there, he's probably higher than Benjamin's ego right now. It's incredible.
Do you know what's really annoying? Just Stop Oil. Now, they've been interrupting music festivals. For example, the opera, Glyndebourne. They decided to disrupt.
That's your kind of music festival.
My kind of music festival. I have actually been to Glastonbury and I won't be going again, actually. Probably not for me. But anyway, they are happy to disrupt sporting events that people enjoy. Guess what? They're not disrupting Glastonbury. Why? Because they've been invited into the politics tent, haven't they? They're sat there with BBC correspondent for climate change. They're sat there with other politicians and things trying to get their word out. And presumably they get a free ticket. Yeah. So they'll disrupt everyone else's fun, but, Glastonbury, we like them. We'll go along and join in.
Look, I'm not going to pretend that I don't wish that I was at Glastonbury instead of here with you wonderful people. But I will say, well, I'm not going anywhere, unfortunately, but I will say that I do think a lot of the people at Glastonbury are just complete hypocrites. You know, Emily, you mentioned that you've been. I don't know if anyone else on this panel has been to Glastonbury, but when you leave Glastonbury, just the rubbish and the litter and the tents which are left just for people to come and clear up, and most of it probably goes into landfill. You're right to say diesel generators everywhere, people smoking all over the place. You know, I'm sure the environmental cost of Glastonbury is huge, yet the kinds of people that go to Glastonbury are all of these eco-warriors that are totally against this stuff.
But what a load of miserable old people you sound like. Just sat there moaning about people drinking and smoking at a festival. They can live their lives as they want.
It's the virtue signalling hypocrisy of them. If they went to those festivals, I used to go to festivals, I wasn't saying, nobody else should burn any fossil fuel or use any plastic. I was like, yeah, use plastic, do what you want, be free, live your life.
I mean, look, first of all, I think this idea that they are all sort of hippies like the type you would see in the 60s that only go to Glastonbury is a bit silly. You know, today's Times newspaper had a feature on £5,000 a night glamping at Glastonbury.
They had Jeremy Corbyn giving a speech calling for open borders. They had Greta Thunberg giving a speech demanding net zero.
I think there are plenty of middle-class poshos, and not just when Emily went. Look, Glastonbury itself as an institution banned that Jeremy Corbyn film that was anti-Semitic.
They still showed it.
Yeah, some random group showed it, and it looked like a little care home with about 50 people watching. You know, I really don't think it's something to get het up about. You know, something like Glastonbury is a massive benefit for this country.
Why are they allowed to have such secure borders around their festival? Why don't they lead by example and have no borders at all?
Yeah, answer that one, Benjamin.
But, I mean, look, nobody actually believes in open borders.
Yes,
That's
they do.
The kind of nonsense.
They're demanding open borders. They're saying, don't build a wall. Jeremy Corbyn was saying, don't build a wall. He's criticising Trump for building a wall.
Why would you build a wall in this country? I mean, what nonsense. Look, the truth is that people who are trying to escape Yemen or Afghanistan man is not comparable to people that want to go and watch Billie Eilish or Elton John do his final set, OK? That's clearly a ridiculous comparison.
Well, I don't
This
think
is a
it
private
is.
company. It does a huge amount for the local area.
That's
it puts
ridiculous.
a huge amount into British
all right,
music, and that's why it has a
Say
border.
the Manchester Arena bomber, who was rescued by the Royal Navy from Libya and brought back to this country. You think it's great that he was brought back? You don't think we should have secure borders?
Of course you should be checking who comes into the country. And no serious
moment, we're
person
not.
says otherwise, OK?
I don't know if you saw a report out yesterday or today, I can't even remember. Thousands of Albanian men have
gone
absconded
missing,
from hotels. We literally do not have border control.
If I had
Well, can
my
I
way,
just say,
Leo,
sorry,
we'd
you had to
have
have a
that
ticket,
across
it
the
might
border.
help.
Suella Braverman would be up there watching on the watchtower herself if I had my
If
way.
Suella Braverman were up there, it'd be full of people coming in on boats. Because you sit there, you right-wingers sit there, lecturing me about open borders. It's the ones you voted for that let everyone in, not my lot.
Well, I don't dispute
But it was
there was
certainly
no-
Blair who kicked it off.
Yeah, there's no mass migration before the Tory party.
Illegal immigration was much lower under the last Labour governments than it is right now. So you lot explain that,
But
not
Benjamin,
me.
what about all the waste that's left over at Glastonbury? I don't know if you've seen any of the images or if you've been yourself, but it is honestly like something from a war scene when Glastonbury is over. Do you not think it's bad that these eco-warriors go to Glastonbury and then don't clean up after
I
themselves?
mean, there's not as much rubbish there as the ones you speak tonight, to be honest.
Answer the question.
Look, of course people should clean up after themselves, but the idea that somehow a great British business like Glastonbury, the greatest
business.
festival in the world, where the most famous artists, Taylor Swift
They
is said
shouldn't
to be
even
there
be
next
making
year.
a profit.
Well, actually,
Glastonbury came about from a left-wing ideology. It was always supposed to be left-wing. They should be,
Good news,
not
Emily,
even
'cause they
it's
put
not
all
a
the money
business.
back
It should be
into
making
Glastonbury.
well, yeah, and then they have to, keep it empty for a year, don't they?
There we have
anyway.
it, the IEA saying we shouldn't have profit.